Hey there, I'm live. I always have to look at my other screen where I've got the all the stuff. Anyway, welcome to the Movie Review Mom YouTube channel. If you've never been here before, normally I record and then I have my virtual assistant edit it so all my reviews look all polished and great. But she's on Christmas break. And so I'm doing these lives, which has actually been a lot of fun. So I'll keep looking over at my other monitor to see who's joining me. So welcome, welcome. If you're brand new to my channel, my goal is to give you the heads up on filmmaking quality and content so you can decide whether or not you want to spend time or money watching a particular film. So today, the movie I'm reviewing is called A Complete Unknown. This film is rated R. It's 2 hours and 21 minutes long. That time goes by really fast, though. And my overall movie review mom grade is an A. I really enjoyed this. So, but first, before I dive into everything, I'm going to give you an overview in a nutshell. Then I'll point out things I liked, things I didn't like. I'll offer tips for parents, themes worth talking about if you watch this with other people, and you should. Funny lines, interesting lines, and then I'll finish up with recommendations for other films that are sort of similar that you might also really like. But first, before all of that, I wanted to mention the soundtrack album, which was just released and is now available on Amazon. The vinyl edition will be launched sometime this month, January 2025. So click down in the description for a link to the CD and then also a link to the streaming version on Amazon Music. I think you're really going to enjoy all of the music in this soundtrack. All right, so let's jump in. In a nutshell, the music-soaked story takes place in 1961 in New York City when a complete unknown musician, Bob Dylan, forges relationships with music icons of Greenwich Village on his meteoric rise, culminating in the groundbreaking performance at the Newport Folk Festival that reverberated worldwide in 1965. The film was directed, produced, and written by James Mangold. So kudos to James. Screenwriting help came from Jay Cox and Elijah Wald. Already, the film has been nominated for 55 awards and won 14. And the big award season hasn't even started yet. Yes, it was announced as a Golden Globe nominee and for several categories, I might add. And so we will soon see which of all of those awards it actually wins. And I suspect a few. Quick tips for parents. I think kids are going to be bored unless they're really big fans of musicians from the 1960s. There is some profanity and several F-bombs. A man hits another man. We see a shirtless man, and then a man hops in and out of bed with different women, if you know what I mean. Thankfully, we don't see any big, intimate scenes or anything like that. Some of the themes that are illustrated very well are the power of music and lyrics, competition, social justice, and civil rights. So the list of things I liked is quite long. First of all, Timothee Chalamet is on fire, having pumped out quite a few of leading roles in just the past few years. I had just watched a third viewing of the movie Wonka. He is able to transform his voice, and he did all of his own singing in this movie after preparing for the role for 5 years in order to sound like Bob Dylan. He also served as one of the producers of the movie. So good on you, Timothy. The rest of the cast is also fantastic, including nominee Edward Norton, who's terrific as Pete Seeger, Elle Fanning, Monica Barbaro as Joan Baez, Boyd Holbrook, Scoot McNairy, Dan Fogler, and many more. We are sure to hear some of their names mentioned during the big award season. And Oscar award nominations are probably soon to follow. It's really fun to see. Oh, hold on. I just lost my place. I'm reading my notes. Now, normally I would edit out. What was I going to say? Oh, here we go. Here's my note. It's really fun to see many of the folk singers of the past reincarnated in the talented cast. Younger audiences might understand now why boomers and Gen X were such fans of these musical legends. Edward Norton is terrific as Pete Seeger, as I mentioned, as expected. He got to play Seeger's actual 12-string, say that 10 times fast, Martin acoustic guitar, known for its unique triangular sound hole. Bob Dylan requested that the film not use Sylvie Russo's real name because she isn't a public person, but a former girlfriend. She's played by Elle Fanning, and I was really impressed with Elle's performance as well. Monica Barbaro, I'm not sure how she pronounces his name, is not a professionally trained singer, but she sounded great and plays the guitar as Joan Baez. Amazing. The film does a really great job painting a picture of the tumultuous 1960s and how music and art changed political conversations and the cultural zeitgeist. Fans of Bob Dylan will definitely enjoy all the music in the film. I never really liked Bob Dylan's voice, but I readily admit that he was a thought-provoking poet. Fun fact, the original title for the movie was Going Electric, which is a big part of the plot at the very end of the movie that just causes everybody to lose their minds. Now, onto the list of things I didn't like. I could only think of two things. First of all, sometimes it's hard to understand what people say when they whisper. There are a few quiet, intimate moments, and I'm like, what? What? And it's not exactly a biopic or a biopic, depending on how you pronounce that word, because only a few short years are represented in the life of Bob Dylan. It's not his whole life story. That being said, they were extremely important years. Now, whenever I watch movies, I write down the funny lines and the interesting lines that I hear simply so I can share them with you so you can get a taste of the dialogue. And so you can see all of them on my written review at moviereviewmom.com, but I'll share a couple of them with you right now. So first of all, Pete Seeger meets Bob Dylan before anybody else knows who he is. And Bob Dylan doesn't have a place to stay, so he invites him over to his house. And so Pete Seeger's wife, Toshi Seeger, who's played by Eriko Hatsune, she says to her husband, is he going to bed? Because Bob Dylan's playing the guitar. This is late at night. And Pete Seeger says, he's just excited because he met one of his heroes tonight. And I thought that that was really sweet. And he does in the movie and in real life. And then Joan Baez is talking to Bob Dylan. Now they have, an on again, off again, tumultuous relationship, all while Bob Dylan is actually dating another girl, which made me think this guy's a total jerk. For real. Anyway, and Joan Baez catches on and she says, you're kind of an a-hole, except for she says the word. And then he says, yeah, I guess. And I'm like, in the movie, he did look like one in the movie, kind of a jerk, especially to the way he treated women. He just used and abused them. And that is always a big on my list. Anyway, some of the interesting lines speak to the themes in the film. First of all, Bob Dylan, again, played beautifully by Timothee Chalamet, says, folk songs are supposed to stand the test of time like Shakespeare or something. And then I forget who he's talking to when he says that. And she's like, well, yeah, but this ain't no Shakespeare. Anyway, but I thought that was true, that when you do go back and listen to Bob Dylan's music or any of those folk singers and songwriters of the day, they do still hold true. And I think that is a really good test. And then this was an interesting line and kind of the shift in a relationship between Bob Dylan and Sylvie Russo, again played by Elle Fanning. And she says she's getting ready to leave to go do this job for several weeks. And she says, when I think about how much I'm going to miss you, I realize I don't know you. And he kind of is surprised. And of course, it says, no. And she's just like, who is the real you? And then another girl talks to Bob Dylan that he's dating. And she says, I love you. Does that scare you? And he says, I just met you. So yeah. And then, well, hold on. Let me see, as I'm trying to decide which quotes to tell you. Okay, this is a really sweet line spoken by Pete Seeger. So Woody Guthrie is dying basically in a hospital. And that's when Bob Dylan hears on the radio that he's in the hospital and he wants to meet him. He's his hero. And so Pete Seeger says, I want to tell you a little story. He's announcing or introducing Bob Dylan to a crowd of people. He says, A few months back, my friend Woody Guthrie and we met a young man. He dropped in on us out of nowhere and he played us a song. And in that moment, we got a feeling we were getting a glimpse of the future. And that's absolutely true. Anyway, I just thought that was really sweet. All right. So whenever I watch movies, I also immediately think of other films that are sort of similar that I want to recommend to you. So in terms of musical biopics, the first one I was thinking of is probably the most recent one, which just came out. Was that the beginning of this year? I don't know. Time flies by so fast. But Back to Black. I thought that one was really well done, and I was super impressed with the actress. By the way, I've reviewed all of these, and you can go to my movie, well, you're already here on my Movie Review Mom YouTube channel and do a quick search, and you'll find these. So Back to Black. The second one is Elvis. That came out last year, blew everybody's socks off. Again, fantastic performances. And then the third one I thought of is Rocket Man. Of course, I could go on and say Bohemian Rhapsody, all of these other ones. And by the way, in the case of three of those, the leading actor playing the famous musician slash celebrity went on to win an Oscar and a Golden Globe and all that. So I'm sure Timothee Chalamet is, waiting for that to happen to him as well. We'll see. Like I said, soon enough. So anyway, let me check and see if anybody is visiting me or posting comments. Okay, I got to learn how to do that. I'm looking at my screen. When you get a minute, run over and visit me. I'm all over social media. I've got a Facebook group called, guess what? Movie Review Mom. Run over there and check out. We have fun conversations and polls and memes and silly stuff. And then on Instagram, you can find me as Movie Review Mom, of course, but also as Trina Boice, which is my real name, where you can learn about all of my books when they're offered for free on Amazon, which is almost every week. I've got a different book because I have 34 books out. My online courses, my other shenanigans going on. Anyway, thank you so much. And by the way, you can, again, check the description down below to find out where else you can find me and all of that other kind of stuff. Thanks so much for spending a few minutes with me. I hope you enjoy this movie. I'm pretty sure you will. Have a fantastic rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next one. Bye for now. Now, let's see if I can remember how to turn this off. I always have to put my glasses on just to see it. See ya.